Since the VNAV system can throw you a curveball every now and then, we're going to demonstrate the sunset to arrival into Las Vegas McCarran and show you some of the basic procedures for managing VNAV. So let's watch the sunset to arrival in action into Las Vegas McCarran. So our clearance is going to be something like proceed direct to Beatty and descend via the sunset to arrival. Now remember, descend via means that we must comply with the altitudes on the chart, and they are flight level 210 at MyCal, 16,000 at Fuzzy, 11,000 at Ipumi, 9,000 at Nipso, and finally we end up at 8,000 at Sunce, and that is the last altitude on the arrival chart. So now let's go into what we call load and review. So I'm going to hit the procedure button, select the arrival, I'm going to scroll on down and choose the Sunce 2, press enter, I'll choose a transition of Beatty, and now I'll press enter to load. And now as we go into review, I'm going to check the plate, not only for the lateral waypoint, but the VNAV target altitude as well. So I've got Beatty in white at 29.3. Remember, white sheds light, so I'm fine with that. But I've got MyCal at 210. I've got Fuzzy at 16,000. I've got Traeger in white. Remember, the white sheds light. I'm happy with that. Ipumi at 11,000. That checks. Nipso at 9,000. That checks with the plate. And finally, I've got Sunce at 8,000. Then I'll just quickly review the rest of the waypoints to make sure they all match up with the flight plan. Kimmy, Chips, Poker, Prino, KLAS. Very obvious with waypoints with those names that I'm in Las Vegas. Now I'm going to proceed direct to Beatty. So my cursor comes on. I'm going to scroll on down to Beatty, hit direct, enter, enter. And then I'll turn my cursor off to do what I call a map integrity check. I just want to make sure the airplane is verified that it's proceeding direct to Beatty. Pro tip number 2 is we use the mnemonic FAV to set up VNAV. To help you remember FAV, it's the first 3 letters in the word favorite. Or as Peter likes to say, VNAV is his favorite feature of the G1000.
It sure is.
So F is going to be flight plan. We'll look at the flight plan page. A is going to be altitude pre-select, and V is going to be VNAV. You'll actually have to arm VNAV. Let's show you that in action. So here for flight plan, I'm actually checking the altitudes on the flight plan page. I'll scan my current VNAV profile to make sure it checks as well. Then I'll go to the altitude pre-select, and I'm going to set it to the lowest altitude of my clearance limit. In this case, I was told to descend via the sunset to arrival, so 8,000 is the altitude I'll set. Then I simply just have to arm VNAV. So I'll push the VNAV button and I call out VPath armed. Now I have an advisory for you, and that is we have to reconfirm VPath when we've armed it more than 5 minutes. Take a look here at the current VNAV profile. Notice that it says my time to the top of descent is greater than 5 minutes. So when we go to the PFD and we take a look here, watch what happens.
Vertical track.
My vertical track goes alive. VPath is flashing in white. That means the flashing that the mode will not go active. So what I'm going to need to do here is manually intervene to reconfirm that I do want to descend using VNAV. So all I have to do is go to the VNAV button and press it once. When I do that, VPath stops flashing. Now I'm just going to speed ahead. My VPath is alive. And notice here, I get VPath green. VPath is the active mode. I've got Alt-V armed. The airplane now vacates flight level 410 and starts down in a VNAV descent. Pro tip number 3 is I'm going to use the 4 Ps to monitor VNAV during the descent. The 4 Ps is a continuous cycle starting with plate. It goes plate, plan, profile, and posted altitude. So let's show you the 4 Ps in action. So here I am approaching the top of descent. I vacated flight level 410. I go to the plate to look for my next target VNAV altitude. It's MyCal at flight level 210. I look at the plan, MyCal at 210. I look at the VNAV profile, flight level 210 at MyCal, and I've got in the profile a time to the bottom of descent, 13 minutes and 59 seconds.
Now remember, we told you it's really important to be monitoring your time to bottom of descent, but 14 minutes is quite a bit of time to wait. I got a great tip for you to help you visualize where that level off is going to happen, and that is go to your moving map. If you see here at fuzzy, there's a white circle with a black dot in it, and that is the visual depiction of where the bottom of descent is. So we know as we approach fuzzy, the airplane's going to want to level off, and we're going to need to add power.
And to continue the 4 Ps, the PFD posted altitude is 210. So next, remember, I'm constantly running this cycle, so we'll just jump ahead, and you can see here I'm coming up on my cow. So I look at the plate. What's my next VNAV target altitude? It's going to be fuzzy at 16,000. I go to the plan, fuzzy at 16,000. I go to the profile, 16,000 at fuzzy. I look at my time to the bottom of descent. It's now 3 minutes and 54 seconds. And then I look up at my PFD posted altitude, 16,000. Now I jump ahead. You can see here I've got an annunciator. Bottom of descent is within 1 minute. When I see that, my threat level comes up, my hand goes on the throttle because I know in exactly 1 minute I'm going to need to add power in order to maintain altitude. I'm just going to speed it up. And I just want you to pay attention now to the flight mode annunciators at the top. I get Alt V green. I now start increasing the power to maintain altitude and desired speed. As the plane levels off at 16,000, I get Alt green. I'm now in altitude hold mode, and V path remains armed. And then, as soon as I maintain my desired speed, I'm back into the 4 Ps. So, I've got Traeger, there's nothing there. I've got Ipumi at 11,000, that's my next target VNAV altitude. I've got Ipumi at 11,000. I've got an active VNAV waypoint of 11,000 at Ipumi. That's the profile. My time to the top of descent is 1 minute and 57 seconds. And on the PFD posted altitude, I've got 16,000 is still posted because we are holding level for the top of descent. As we jump ahead, I'm now approaching the top of descent.
Vertical track.
My vertical track goes alive. I have my hand on the throttle because I know in 1 minute I'm going to reach the top of descent. I'm going to need to decrease power. I'll just speed it up a little bit. We watch the annunciators. V-path is green. I'm back into checking the plan. Ipumi at 11,000. My active VNAV waypoint, 11,000 at Ipumi. And my time to the bottom of descent is now 4 minutes and 27 seconds. Remember, when I see that, I raise my threat level. And I use Peter's tip of looking at the movie map to find out where is the airplane going to level off. And if you look closely here, we look at NIPSO, we see that white circle with a black dot.
You know, Mossy, what I really love about this arrival is it's a great example of how you can have multiple step downs on your way to your final arrival altitude of 8,000 feet at Sunst.
Yeah, this arrival really makes you work for it, doesn't it?
It sure does.